actually, the fascination kind of came to an end when I read what I still think is the definitive book on the assassination. And he concludes, as the Warren Commission concludes, that Oswald killed Kennedy by himself. The book is called Case Closed. It was first published on the 30th anniversary of the assassination. It is being republished in ebook form right now. The author, Gerald Posner, received a great deal of critical acclaim for this great work, and he joins us now. Mr. Posner, welcome to Good Day.
Greg, Rosanna, great to be with both of you.
So what evidence did you find that you say case closed?
Rosanna, let me tell you, I went into it not thinking that it was Oswald. I thought it was probably the mob because of Jack Ruby's murder of Oswald on Sunday morning. It has all the earmarks of a mob killing. And then once I got into it, I saw what the Warren Commission couldn't see, the new forensics, the new ballistics evidence, what science could do with evidence. Warren Commission made a ton of errors. They got the sequence of shots wrong. They didn't pursue Jack Ruby's potential mob connections. The FBI and CIA lied to them. But as an investigative reporter, you can only conclude one thing from the credible evidence. Lee Harvey Oswald, 50 years ago today, with one gun, 3 shots, ended Camelot. No conspiracy.
A lot of conspiracy theorists point to the bullet, the so-called pristine bullet and the so-called magic bullet. That one bullet could not have caused so many injuries to both Kennedy and Governor Conley. And if one bullet had, it would have been somewhat deformed. Tell us about that, please, and tell us why you think the single bullet theory actually is correct.
Yeah, look at Greg, there's no question. Oliver Stone, in his film JFK back in '91, he should hang his head in shame today of all days, especially to the Kennedy family. He's a very good filmmaker, talented filmmaker, just a terrible historian. About the only thing he got right in that film was the date on which Kennedy was killed. But he made fun of the magic bullet. He had it going through midair, doing a couple of somersaults, making a left turn, a right turn. Guess what? There's no magic at all involved in it. And today, ballistics experts can show you how that bullet took place, how the governor of Texas and the president were lined up exactly right at the car, at the frame that it hit, how the bullet went through and hit no bone at all in Kennedy and went on to hit the governor, and how it ended up in relatively good shape. People say it's almost pristine. That's like saying somebody's almost pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. It's either pristine or it's not. I've examined that bullet. It's damaged. It shows the results of having hit those 2 men. And today, in a new documentary from Nova and PBS, they've been able to recreate experiments that show how that shot happened. Nothing unusual about it at all. We know now how Oswald fired that. It was his second shot. And how it wasn't a fatal shot. Kennedy would have lived if it hadn't been for that fatal headshot.
What did you find out about Oswald? Did he have, like, a hatred for President Kennedy? Was it something personal?
Rosanna, you asked the key question. For me, more than bullet angles, more than anything else, the question as to why Jack Kennedy died 50 years ago today is found in Lee Harvey Oswald's 24 years, his tortured sociopathic life. We forget how young he was. He just turned 24 the month before. And this was a kid who moved 21 times as a youngster, 11 different schools. He was examined by a psychiatrist in New York City in '53 when he was a truant, who concluded he had passive-aggressive tendencies, schizoid, and a potential for assaultive acting out. They ordered him for mandatory psychiatric care, and his mother took him back to Texas. He was court-martialed in the Marines. He shot himself once. He went to Russia thinking he'd become a hero. They told him to get lost. He tried to kill himself. They gave him a psychiatric exam and concluded he was mentally unstable. And when he came back to the U.S. in '62, he was committed to killing somebody to put himself in the history books. The man he tried to kill was a right-wing general, retired Army general, who had run for the governorship of Texas, a guy called Edwin Walker, and he just missed him with his bullet. When it turned out that Jack Kennedy was passing in front of the place where he had landed a job a few weeks earlier, it was like history on a silver platter given to Oswald. He could have been in the 6th floor of a building in downtown Moscow shooting at the Soviet premier, Nikita Khrushchev. This was a guy who wanted to throw a cog in the machinery of government. No particular hatred for Kennedy, but it was the biggest target available. The fact that we all know Oswald's name is the greatest thing in the world for somebody like him today.
You know, Oswald lived just a few blocks. You mentioned all those schools he attended. He lived actually a few blocks from here in the early 1950s on East 92nd Street. Do you think, and you talk about the assassination a lot.
I think we just lost our live remote.
Well, he was terrific, wasn't he?
He really, very knowledgeable.
The book is called Case Closed. It's being republished in ebook form. You can also find it in bookstores in paper form, but highly recommended. And you saw he really knows his